Oregon Trail and California Trail. History Told presents an original story. The California Gold Rush, the fever that changed America. In 1848, California was a sparsely populated territory, inhabited by Native Americans, Spanish settlers, and a few Americans. But in January of that year, a single discovery changed everything: gold. A unique delicacy, which will be discussed in the video, and all its impacts afterwards. The California Gold Rush was a period between 1848 and 1855, in which thousands of people moved to the region in search of riches. James W. Marshall, the man who discovered gold at Sutter's Mill. James Wilson Marshall was an American carpenter and sawmill operator who discovered gold on the American River, California on January 24, 1848. Marshall was examining the canal below the mill when he noticed some shiny spots on the canal bed.
I took up one or two pieces and examined them attentively, and having some general knowledge of minerals, I could not recollect more than two that in any way resembled this one iron, very brilliant and brittle, and gold, brilliant, but malleable,
James said. The metal was confirmed as gold after members of Marshall's team performed tests on the metal, boiling it in lye soap and hammering it to test its malleability. Marshall, still concerned about the completion of the sawmill, allowed his team to search for gold during their free time. News of the discovery soon spread around the world. The immediate impact on Marshall was negative. His sawmill failed as all the able-bodied men in the area abandoned everything in search of gold. The discovery of gold. John Sutter, an ambitious Swiss businessman, dreamed of building an agricultural empire in California. He had built Sutter's Mill, a water-powered wooden mill, where he hoped to transform the land into a productive center. But his luck would change on January 24, 1848, when one of his workers, James Marshall, made an unexpected discovery. In the diary of the time, the following quote from Sutter was written:
"I had never seen anything so shiny. Was it gold? My heart was racing, but there was also doubt. Was this really this precious metal? If it were, our world would never be the same."
Sutter tries to keep the discovery a secret to protect his lands and maintain order on his estate. But word spreads faster than he can control. Soon, several migrants and immigrants began to seek veracity in the history passed on to them, thus beginning a turbulent period of searching for gold ore in California. But, getting back to James, it is worth noting that even with this discovery, many things did not work out. He became a partner in a gold mine near Kelsey, California, but the mine failed and left Marshall virtually bankrupt. The California state legislature granted him a 2-year pension in 1872 in recognition of his role in an important era in California history. It was renewed in 1874 and 1876, but lapsed in 1878. Marshall, penniless, ended up in a small cabin. Marshall died in Kelsey on August 10, 1885. In 1886, members of the Native Sons of the Golden West, Placerville Parlor No. 9, felt that the gold finder deserved a monument to mark his final resting place. In May 1890, 5 years after Marshall's death, Placerville Parlor No. 9 of the Native Sons of the Golden West successfully advocated the idea of a monument to the state legislature. The rush begins. The news began to spread. First, through the small towns surrounding the mill. Then it reached Sacramento and San Francisco. What had been just a rumor soon became a wave of mass hysteria. Merchants, farmers, sailors, They all dropped everything and headed for the California countryside in search of instant riches. These early prospectors, called 49ers, i.e., from 1849, traveled to California by sea and by wagon across the continent, often facing great hardships along the way. While most of the newcomers were Americans, the gold rush also attracted tens of thousands of people from Latin America, Europe, Australia, and Asia. Initially, prospectors obtained gold from watercourses and riverbeds using simple techniques, such as panning, and later developed more sophisticated methods of gold extraction that were adopted worldwide. Gold worth billions of dollars today was extracted, bringing great wealth to a few. Most, however, returned home with little more than they had at the start of their adventure. The effects of the gold rush were substantial. San Francisco, California, grew from a tiny tent village into a thriving city, and roads, churches, schools, and other towns were built around it. James Knox Polk was an American lawyer, farmer, and politician who served as the 11th President of the United States from 1845 to 1849. He had previously served as a member of the House of Representatives from 1825 to 1839 and as the 9th Governor of Tennessee from 1839 to 1841. When President James K. Polk confirmed the existence of gold in an official address in late 1848, there was no longer any doubt. When the gold rush began, California was virtually lawless as a result of the Mexican-American War of 1846. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which ended the war on February 2, 1848, had transferred control of California to the United States. The journey of the prospectors. The journey to California was long and dangerous. Some chose to travel by sea, skirting South America through the treacherous Strait of Magellan. Others risked the land crossing via the Oregon Trail and California Trail, where they faced harsh weather, food shortages, and deadly diseases. There were still those who ventured across the Isthmus of Panama, taking a shortcut, but risking fatal tropical fevers.
It was a race where only the strongest survived.
Given what was happening at sea and in the surrounding area, the arrival of travelers was not at all easy. We're surprised by indigenous attacks, aggression, and extreme weather conditions. Well, we must remember that the main passage for immigrants from other continents was the Panama Canal. And in the wake of this entire discovery, the thieves were aware of everything that was being said. After the flood of gold rush immigrants had subsided, operations to recover the metal continued. The final stage of recovering loose gold was to search the riverbeds and estuaries of the Central Valley and other areas, such as Scott Valley in Siskiyou. Here we arrive at the Oregon Trail and the California Trail. The Oregon Trail is one of 3 emigrant trails, along with the California Trail and the Mormon Trail, used in the mid-19th century by those seeking land west of the interior plains and the Rocky Mountains. The eastern portion of the route ran through part of the future state of Kansas and most of what are now the states of Nebraska and Wyoming. So, as I said, the path of immigrants near the Isthmus of Panama. The challenges of the Isthmus of Panama. The Panama Canal is a 47.1-mile long, 77.1 kilometers artificial shipping canal located in Panama that connects the Atlantic Ocean via the Caribbean Sea to the Pacific Ocean. The canal crosses the Isthmus of Panama and is a key crossing for international maritime trade. The earliest record relating to a canal across the Isthmus of Panama was in 1534, when Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain, ordered a survey of a route through the Americas in order to facilitate the travel of ships traveling between Spain and Peru. Now, going straight to the main subject, the challenges that occurred there, we can mention several. First, the climate. The channel is a collision between 2 oceans. A lot of rain and thunderstorms occurred in that place. Second, the indigenous people. A coastal place, at that time, included hundreds of indigenous people who were ready to attack at any strange movement in the sea. And finally, the ship robbers, pirates who roamed the coast. What life was like in the Golden Fields. The mining camps were chaos. No laws, no rules, just an insatiable thirst for wealth. A lucky few became rich overnight, while others lost everything in a matter of hours. The makeshift tents and huts soon became makeshift towns, but disorder and violence reigned. Many who gave up on their old lives found themselves in deplorable situations because they were unable to achieve the success they desired, like Marshall, who, as mentioned, ended up bankrupt. The harsh reality of the gold rush was that, for many, fortune never came. Hard work, day and night, conflict with immigrants, with acquaintances and strangers, animal attacks, hostile climates. All of this was a source of insecurity for those who were there, without knowing if they would ever get out of the situation they had gotten themselves into. By 1855, economic circumstances had changed radically. Gold was no longer so easy to obtain, and the only profitable way to obtain it was with large teams of workers who would already be employees or partners by the middle of that decade. The owners of the mining companies were the ones getting rich. Furthermore, California's population had grown so much and so fast that the economic base had become much more diversified, and it was now possible to make profits in conventional businesses. The impact on California. Before the gold rush, California had about 15,000 inhabitants, not counting native Amerindians, and the arrival of hundreds of thousands of immigrants in such a short time had dramatic consequences. The human and environmental costs of the phenomenon were considerable. The region's native Indians suffered from disease, famine, and genocidal attacks. The native population, estimated at 150,000 in 1845, dropped sharply to less than 30,000 by 1870. Explicitly xenophobic laws were passed, seeking to keep out immigrants from China and Latin America. And finally, the end of the gold rush. Profits from the gold rush were reinvested in a number of emerging industries, contributing to the growth of manufacturing and industrial production. Industrial enterprises such as textiles, machinery, and chemicals began to expand rapidly. The accumulated capital was also channeled into the construction of railroads, which played a key role in integrating the western and eastern regions of the United States. Conclusion and legacy. Well, in the end, all of this later resulted in a very rich state, with many luxury homes, businesses, companies, and much more. So it wasn't all just challenges. And if you're from California, let us know what you think about all this in the comments.
Thank you to everyone who watched. If you've stayed this far, leave a like and subscribe. And leave a suggestion for future content.